Hello there. Welcome to the Fatal Frame Defense Force Academy. I am your host, Ryofu. In these neck of the woods, we counter, we deflect any Fatal Frame II Remake hate. We ain't down with it. Not here. We won't tolerate it. Before I go any further, I think we should take a moment for ourselves to say, the King of Horror is back, baby. The King of Horror is back. Or, if you want to say Queen, we can say the Queen. The two queens, maybe. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. But either way, Fatal Frame is back. Yes, I've been playing the game. No, I am not done with it. But probably, you know what? By the time you see this video, I should be at least done with my first playthrough. If you're wondering what's taken so long, lately I've only had time to play this on the weekends. I also just want to say I definitely plan to do, a full-fledged review in the future. But for now, I wanted to come out with this video because I did something unconventional and I decided to peruse the reviews and previews of the game. So to be completely honest with you, I was still in the middle of just barely starting the game when I started looking at reviews. And to be honest with you, this is not something I normally do. If I plan to do a review of something, I try not to watch someone else's review because that'll throw me off and you'll start transposing their views and make it and mix it in with your own. I like for me to draw my own conclusions. In this instance, it felt fine because the story isn't what's changing, and I've already played through the original a couple of times. So in this instance, it's the graphics, it's the additional abilities, all that is what's going to be new with this. Anyways, we're getting a little sidetracked here, but I was perusing these reviews and previews, and I kind of realized something about the people that were reviewing the games. And more specifically, I want to focus on the people that were on the negative side of things. And as some of you might know with this channel, I try not to linger in that realm for too long. The thing is, I'm an adult and I'm capable, as I imagine you are as well, capable of critiquing things that we love. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as we're coming from a place of being reasonable, right? And not having unrealistic expectations. That's what I want to talk about in this video because there's some videos, there's some reviews I've seen, and they just didn't sit right with me. So if you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Ryofu, and you are watching The Gaming Harbinger. We talk about stuff like this. We definitely talk a lot about Fatal Frame here. So this is the place for you, but we also cover conventions. We also talk about anime. And I plan to knock out a couple of anime reviews this year, so please look forward to that. But if any of that sounds remotely intriguing to you, please consider subscribing. With that out of the way, let's talk about some Fatal Frame II Remake reactions. So in this first section, I'm going to do something a little weird. Bear with me. I know this is going to sound crazy, but these reviewers that I came across in this first segment, I'm not going to reveal who the people are. I'm not going to reveal the outlet. Now, you might think that that's insane and that defeats my argument or whatever, but here's the reason why. There's a couple of different reasons why. But the first thing is, this is an outlet that I like. Both of these outlets actually are places I like. So with that being said, if I'm keeping it 100 with you, I'm disappointed in these outlets. I'm disappointed with the handling of this. And I understand I'm not running some big channel. I'm not running a team of people where we have multiple people reviewing games constantly. And then all of a sudden it's we come to a point where we have to review this game. No one really plays these type of games, but someone's going to have to review it. And then someone gets picked. and that person may not be happy about it, but this is their job, so they have to do it. The other part of this is that I really believe if you listen to the things that I mention in the reviews, you will be able to figure out pretty quickly who I'm talking about. So when I say this to you guys, I'm not trying to be funny. This part is not a joke, but it really felt like in these two separate outlets, two different reviewers, it felt like these people got picked to review something that's a little out of their wheelhouse. And I know this might sound a little bad on my part, but I'm saying all of this it's just more things that are compiled onto another. But you have two people that are really young that didn't grow up playing these games. Not that that's a requirement, but like I said, this is just another layer to add on to things. You have someone that is unfamiliar, never played the series before. This is their first time. One person in particular said that they wanted to try the series for years, but they never got around to it. They especially wanted to play Fatal Frame II, but they never got around to it. So they were really looking forward to playing this game, and then they were disappointed. And both reviews pretty much point to the game doesn't control well, the controls are bad, and you move really, really slow. Now, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. Like, you think this is slow? You tell me. Does that look slow to you? Boy, you wouldn't have been too happy about that original, baby. You wouldn't have been too happy about that original. Let me tell you. But back then, I didn't think the game was moving slow. It was a horror game. There's supposed to be atmosphere. There's supposed to be tension. You're not supposed to be running around blindly. So we have a game that controls bad. They don't like the combat and the characters move really slow. But my personal favorite of all things, is to tell people in mid-review, hey, you know what? Just go play Resident Evil Requiem. You want a good horror game? Play that one. Wow, dude. Are you being serious right now? Are you being for real? Before I even get started with this, I want to make this clear. I love Resident Evil. Actually, I like a lot of horror games. A lot of them. Name one. Dead Space. I love Dead Space. Callisto Protocol. People were disappointed in that. I thought it was pretty good. I was okay with it. But anyways, going back to Resident Evil. Like, I'm trying to not be mean about this. Yes, people are allowed to have their opinions. But I get tired, especially in gaming. I get tired, bro. I get so tired of whatever's the most popular thing. That's the barometer. That's the standard. Nothing else. Get that shit out of here. What? This plays like Grand Theft Auto? Nah, Grand Theft Auto's better. What? No, this is a God of War clone. Get that out of here. It's so tiring, man. It's so tiring. Come on. People just need to step out of their comfort zone. Try new things. Not just the biggest AAA thing. What's popular? Come on, man. This is a terrible, why would you even compare these two? The only similarities they have is that they're survival horror. You're not even fighting the same type of enemies. You're not even using the same weapons. Another thing to point out is that, you know what? There are actually a few games that are similar to Fatal Frame. None of those were recommended. Resident Evil Requiem is recommended. Jeez, thanks for your incredible insight. This was so useful. And the person in particular that was talking about looking forward to playing Fatal Frame for the first time and then feeling a little let down and underwhelmed by the controls and the combat and stuff. This person kind of went on a little mini rant at the end. I'm going to paraphrase something I heard in music one time on an interview, but it really appears to me that this person that was talking about Fatal Frame and always wanting to try it and was so curious about it, all this stuff, it seems like she was in love with the idea of Fatal Frame, but not really in love with the actual games. Now with this next segment, I will shout out this person. This YouTuber, I might be pronouncing his name incorrectly, but I believe it's Tastymond. And I am mentioning this person because he is about that life. I can clearly tell that he is a Fatal Frame fan. So while I don't agree with the things that he says in the video, I respect the time that he put into this review and also the comparisons he drew. And I just think it's important to accept critique, take that in and appreciate it for what it is. You don't have to agree with it. I think when it comes to stuff like this, especially Fatal Frame, and, I'm sure for a lot of people, it's not just Fatal Frame, but it's other stuff you got going on in your life. If you're really like in the thick of it, you're really close to the source, sometimes it's really hard to zoom out and see like, okay, well, what does this look like to some newcomer? And I'm saying that because even though I was harsh on the two previous people, I do understand that some of the end game is to get people into, newcomers, get them to check out the game. We want new people. We want new faces to try this out, to fall in love with the series. So anyways, point being, shout out to Tastymon. There's a lot of things I disagree with you on in regards to this remake, but I respect your opinion. And like I said, knowing how much you love the series and how into the games you are, especially the original trilogy, I'm going to listen to what you have to say. And I did. I watched your whole video. Now, this part of the video is probably going to be a little more entertaining for people. We're not going to cover all of his critiques, but we'll definitely cover a good amount of ground. So the first thing is he talks about how the ghosts in the game look like something from Ghostbusters or Casper.
So now you've got ghosts looking like something from Ghostbusters here, or Casper the Friendly Ghost with a terrible tint of blue on them. To me, it doesn't look scary whatsoever, takes me completely out of it. I think every single ghost I've seen so far is a downgrade over the original game. It's a joke to me.
Now, I wanted to talk about this one in particular because this is one of the things that I do slightly agree with. Now, here's the thing. I don't think all of the ghosts look weird. But, so in the game, the very first ghost you actually come in contact with, I was a little underwhelmed by that. And I'm looking and I'm like, not that scary. What's going on here? What's going on, McFly? So I'm trying to figure out like, what is it about this ghost that's just not scary to me? And I have some pictures here. So check out these pictures. And as you can see, she literally looks like, if there were NPCs in the game, she looks like an NPC, except for she has this bluish tint. And she looks like she's just as terrified as the main protagonist. It's like, and I don't know what the thing with you see this picture here. I don't know what's going on with these, one eyebrow up thing. Like she's the Rock. What is this? Like that's so oofy doofy. I just don't know. Like definitely not scary. I'm with you on this one. Now, one thing I do want to add to this is that this is only one of the ghosts where I was really like, not scary at all, bro. What's going on here? Thank God I played a little bit more into the game. Like I said, at this point, I'm at the halfway point, I would say. And I came across quite a few ghosts that I'm very happy to report that they look good. They did them justice. Another thing I would also point out is that you'll even see like generic villagers, these ghosts in the game, and they look fine. They look fine. So I think also what's happening here is the art style in general is different than the original game. You can even see this with Miyu and Mayu, which their new look is fine. I think they look great. No problems there. But in the case of this first ghost you come in contact with, I think this character doesn't have like the dark makeup aesthetic, you know, the darkness around the eyes, or, you know, the really small pupils, the wide eyes, stuff like that. So she doesn't really look that different from just a regular person, except for she's light blue. One of my favorite ghosts, Broken Neck Woman, the GOAT, the OG. When I saw her in the game, that's when I knew. All right. Okay. I'm all in. I'm already happy. I'm very, very happy. When I saw how she looks and kind of how she quickly teleports. I feel like she's a little bit faster than the original. And then seeing her head swing around in unnatural positions. Oh yeah, this is what I signed up for. This is what I signed up for. Not to mention the OG Maiden of Blackwater, at least that's what I'm calling her, but she's like the drowned woman. And I had a fight with her and I kept making stupid mistakes. And then at one point, she just had the entire area covered in water and bubbles. And I can't see shit. And then she becomes enraged. And now it's just like I'm doing very little damage. I can't see anything. And all the while she's making like this little wailing sound. And I guess that's what happens when they become enraged. They start sounding a little differently. And to me, it's absolutely badass. This was just another moment that I was just really happy. Like, yes, this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Which, by the way, bringing up that I was stumbling and making stupid mistakes in that fight, this will transition perfectly into the next topic, which is the length of the fights. Now, in case you didn't get the memo, they have pretty much fixed this, so problem solved. That's great. But I will say, if you're having a little bit of trouble, here are a few quick suggestions I have for you. I would say do not use the weakest film unless you absolutely have to. I really don't. It doesn't work like it did in previous games where, you know, you could run around and if you're a skillful enough player, you can totally fight strong enemies with that. Fights will be a little longer, but, you know, you want to conserve your film, you know, the more powerful film. And it feels like now you get plenty of film, and if you use the weakest one, it's going to take a really long time to fight everything. Everything's going to be a boss battle. For me, once I upgraded the focal points and I increased max damage, that really helped a lot. You know, and just paying attention to that little bar at the top where, you know, if you hold it onto the enemy and the enemy comes into focus and you can slowly see the damage increasing, that really, paying attention to that helped a lot for me, especially in the beginning when, you know, it's been a while since I've played a Fatal Frame game, and then there's a lot of new stuff in this game. And unfortunately, I won't get to talk about all that stuff here, but, you know, we'll cover that in the future for sure. So no worries there. The wonderful team at Team Ninja pretty much just said, I got you, my G. We're going to fix you guys up. Sorry for the issues. Boom. You don't have to worry about enemies taking forever to kill anymore.
Everything required timing in the original Fatal Frames. You hit the Fatal Frame, you get a stutter chance, you can go into combos. Timing got harder as it went on. You want to keep the combo up, tighter timing, tighter timing, tighter timing. That's how it went.
I don't know. No answers. Now this next section, I'm sure people are not going to like what I have to say. So I'm going to try to keep this section short because I know that I'm in the minority here. And this is just an area I don't give a shit about, okay? So, performance. I actually do care about performance, but for people, the barometer is 60 frames or anything else, you know? I don't care if I have to play at 720p, give me my 60 frames. I actually do. I don't want to play 60 frames at 1080p. Sorry. Well, You know what? Doing it on the Nintendo Switchy, I'm okay with that. But not on Series X and not on PlayStation 5. I've been playing, come on, all of us have been playing at 1080p for years now. It's time to let go. Plus, I just think it's the weirdest thing with a game like this that isn't high octane action that we're so concerned about 60 frames per second. It's so bizarre to me. And I saw this coming a mile away because I was like, okay, the remasters, they did pretty good with getting performance under control. And I knew this was going to be an issue. Because even, a personal fave of mine, Rise of the Ronin on PlayStation 5 isn't 60. So I was like, here we go. Unless you play at 1080p. Actually, it's not even 1080p. It's like, what is it like? 900? I can't remember. It's in my video.
There's also things that have been removed from this game, and I honestly could put my finger on why I think they've actually done this, but it's honestly something that adds to the atmosphere of the original games. Is if you leave the games idle long enough, then you actually have like ghostly images appearing all over the screen to try and scare you and add to the atmosphere. You leave it for like a few minutes, you've got like blood spatters in the third Fatal Frame game. In the second one, you've got like different female ghosts that can appear all over the game and static imagery. All that's been completely removed from this remake. It doesn't exist. I left my game on for like well over 5 minutes and there's no static imagery of any ghosts going on. So they've completely removed that feature that added to the atmosphere, the tension, and it made people like uncertain about like what was coming. All that's been removed.
Okay, my man. All right. Okay. You just being petty for this one. You being petty for this one. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you. The pause or leaving just your screen at a certain spot for so long and you start seeing those images pop up on screen. Absolutely sick. A 10 out of 10, baby. A 10 out of 10. But bro, you being petty.
Does the game have shiny graphics? Absolutely. But graphics aren't everything. And even then, the original game, I would honestly say for PS2 games, still have some of the best graphics I've ever seen on the PS2 system. And one of the things that also you will notice about this game is it is over the shoulder. This is not like the first Fatal Frame game that's been over the shoulder, and what I really don't like about over the shoulder for Fatal Frame 2 here is this game's not really been envisioned with over the shoulder in mind. The original game is a fixed camera angle game, and this isn't the first remake they've ever done of Fatal Frame 2. They done a lazy remake back in the Wii days where they just shoved the camera over the shoulder and called it a day. Far worse frame rate because of it on the Wii as well, and it didn't work because of the fact that it was the exact same layout as the original Fatal Frame 2, nothing had really been changed, they just shoved the camera over their shoulder and called it a day.
Now, as most of you are aware, this was like a horror staple back in the early 2000s, and Fatal Frame was no different. But in the last two games, they've had this kind of over-the-shoulder type of view. I don't have a lot to say about this part, but just to say this is natural progression. That's all this is. This isn't copying Resident Evil. This isn't copying Gears of War. This isn't copying Dead Space. This is just natural progression. Like, why would Fatal Frame be the only game to be like, nah, bro, we're gonna stick to these fixed camera angles because it's the scariest way to... It's starting to sound like you wanted zero changes. You wanted everything to stay the same as the original, just better graphics. And to me, at that point, then why do we even need the better graphics for? We should just play the original. And in that case, it sounds to me you're just one of those people that just wanted some ports, just wanted a remaster. Which, if that is the case, then we're definitely on the opposite end of the spectrum, because I'm looking for a new game, baby. That's what I want. I want a new game. Remake is definitely second place for me. I'm happy with that. I'll take it. I'll gobble that up. Same thing with rebooting the series. I would still want a new game, but I'll take a reboot. Absolutely. I 100% would take a reboot. But it seems to me you didn't want any of those. You just wanted them to port the original games to PC and just wrap it up, call it good, put a bow on it, and boom. In closing, I would just like to say this is a game that was directed by the creator of Fatal Frame. This is a big deal because I don't doubt for a second that the team that made this game 20 years ago is still around. They have long moved on. So my point is that getting Makoto Shibata on board, as well as get him front and center to sell this game at a Let's Play event and all this other stuff. I know he didn't handcraft everything, okay? I get that. But this was a big deal. I also want to add another layer to this. I desperately have been saying, hoping, and praying that they would experiment a little. Add some new features, shake things up. That's what the series needs. Guess what? I asked them to shake things up and they did just that. Now, that doesn't mean that I got everything that I wanted. It doesn't mean that everything is amazing, but they had to change things up. As most of you know, if you've watched any of my videos regarding Fatal Frame, that is my only critique of the series, is that they have played it safe. And they've tested and experimented some things, and they're good. It's good stuff, but we need them to take some chances. And here we go. Now I'm about to do about face. You ready for this? Let's bring up my favorite subject in the whole wide world, Resident Evil. I know people are going to think I hate Resident Evil after they watch this video. But going back to Resident Evil, come on. I have to salute Capcom for shaking things up with Resident Evil for years. They took chances. And guess what? Some of y'all might have forgot, but Resident Evil 6, there was a time when people were clowning and roasting on it. They were calling it like a Michael Bay zombie movie or something, or if Michael Bay made a zombie movie. It was a weird time, and I still played Resident Evil 6. I still found enjoyment. Yes, it was very actiony, but I was still entertained by it. And I knew that they were still trying and feeling things out. And right now, Resident Evil is getting a crap ton of love. And they deserve the acclaim they've been receiving as of lately. But I think it's important, very important to note that they got to where they are now because they've been taking chances. They've been taking risks. They've been experimenting. And you have to do that. You have to adapt. You can't keep everything the same forever. That's just not going to work. And now that's what I want with Fatal Frame. I want them to have a moment to experiment and cook. And there's going to be some missteps, baby. That's what it's about. You got to have those missteps and you got to learn from them. Let's go back to the reviewers I shall not name. So, and it's really, this part right here is the core of like the whole reason why I made this video. When I saw the comments from these two outlets, you know, it really got under my skin. It really bothered me because I saw people that were fans of Fatal Frame, but they come to their source, they come to their favorite place, and then their favorite place tells them, yeah, this is a disappointment. Yeah, it's a letdown. And then the people, I mean, if you looked at the comments, they were just like, oh, that sucks. Yeah, I was really hoping Fatal Frame could make a comeback. That's too bad. That's just too bad. I know for some of us, we look at stuff like this and we're like, dude, that is insane. You're telling me that they listened to their words and they took it as gospel and that's it? They're done? They're not buying the game? Yeah. There's people like that, believe it or not. There's people like that. And I know, I mean, some things you can't are out of your control, right? There's not much you can do about that. But still, that bothered me because we had someone reviewing it that maybe shouldn't have been reviewing it. Or maybe they needed a little more time to learn more about the series, what type of game it is and how it plays. And then maybe they would realize, oh, this ain't for me. No. I like Resident Evil, but This is too slow paced for me. I don't like this. And you know what? I would be totally fine with that. Tasty if you happen to see this video, I hope I'm saying your name right. You know, no ill will or nothing like that. You know, I'm just having fun here. And like I said, even though I don't agree with your take, it's like I respect it because you're someone that's a fan of the series. And, you know, I'm all about people that are Fatal Frame fans. We could definitely kick back and talk hours about, you know, the original trilogy. And last and certainly not least, I do want to thank all of you guys over the years that have been pushing and working to resurrect this freaking series, because that's literally what we did. That's another reason why, you know, what I just said earlier got under my skin, because some of us have worked really hard, pre-ordered, bought physical copies, bought digital copies, bought more than one copy, like me, and you know, and here we are. We just reversed. We did a reversal, a straight up reversal. We went from, and I know I've said this, but I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. We went from physical to the game only being available in the East. And then we went from that to digital, then more digital and more digital. And now we're finally back to physical again. Dude, we literally resurrected Fatal Frame. For real. For real. And that's nothing to sneeze at. So really proud of all the people that have been supporting, you know, all the remasters and stuff. It's really awesome. And if you're one of those people and then you came across any of these reviews that made you second guess yourself, just play the damn game, okay? Anyways, I had fun making this. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like I said, we're definitely going to have plenty more Fatal Frame content coming your way. But thank you for watching the video to the very end. You guys take care. We out.
O姉ちゃん、どうしたの？なんでもない。